Hi guys, Alec Peirce at the ranch again, and as usual, please forgive the mess. I have about 16 projects on the go, some that we're going to share with you and whatever. Today I wanted to share with you a quick thing. I've thought about this for quite a while, but I've not got around to it. It's a very, very simple project. A lot of you probably have one of these. It's called a drip waterer. Now, in our particular case, we have a vegetable garden, and I've made a drip. I think I had a video on that, didn't I? I have a video on watering Diana's vegetable garden, and it works great. I think there's a video. I'll put a link on if there is. And she has a hose and so on for watering. But one item in particular has always been a little bit of a nuisance. 65 years ago, my dad and Lindsay had a nursery, small nursery called Victoria Gardens. He really enjoyed plants. He was from Kent in England, and they're very flowery people. Anyway, he loved flowers. And it was a big deal. Actually, he sold hundreds, if not thousands, of gladiolas for Decoration Day, and he liked Sweet William and Holly. Anyway, he had quite an active vegetable and flower nursery there in Lindsay. And he was like me. He liked to make things, liked to play and so on. And one time he made a neat device that we call the geranium tree. Dad's geranium tree. I'm not sure if you've seen a picture of it or not. Anyway, the geranium tree is, as its name implies, a tree that has geraniums on it. Now, I have to be very specific when I say that because it is a tree, meaning it's a thing that sticks in the ground and branches out. And it has geraniums on it. Here's a picture of it. This is 65 years ago that my dad built this. Interesting enough, particularly for those of you who live in the country, you may recognize what the arms on this geranium tree are made from. They are, in fact, the tines from an old-fashioned hay rake. That's right. If you can picture in your mind or look up, I'll get a picture for you, an old-fashioned hay rake, a horse-drawn, that the farmers would use to draw across the hay and end up, it was neat how it worked actually, end up how with the hay in rows so they could then go and bale it. And the hay rakes in the 60s and 70s were disappearing. And I guess my dad, he lived in the country a lot of the time, had a lot of farmer friends, and he saw his old hay rake, and his mind went like this, like mine does sometimes, and he made this geranium tree. Well, what's the big deal? Well, first of all, it's my dad's, and my dad and I were very close. It's a big deal to me personally, but also interesting is the fact that the geranium tree became very well known. So well known, in fact, that one of the major seed companies in North America sent their sales rep to our house, good old 24 Duke Street in Lindsay, Ontario, a little town, to take a picture of Dad and his geranium tree. And that picture was featured on the front cover of that seed company's catalog in 1962 or 63, somewhere in there. Anyway, that geranium tree is sat behind my mom and dad's garage for many years. Wasn't used for a while and got pretty rusty. And one day I saw it, asked my mom if I could have it. Sure. I brought it home here to the ranch, cleaned it up, bit of welding, painted it, and we've had it ever since. And that's about 25 or 30 years ago. It's been really a neat ornament. And Diana, my dear Diana, likes it too. She has geraniums, so she puts in 4-inch pots every year. It holds 19 geraniums, and it's kind of neat. It's a feature special to the Peirce family. Big deal. So what's the deal? Geraniums need to be watered, particularly if they're in a pot. And particularly if they're exposed and it's dry weather, they dry out very, very quickly. And geraniums need to have a bit of water on a regular basis. The geranium tree is a nuisance to water. You really have to water each one individually, whether you use a watering can or you use a hose. It's just a nuisance. So for a long time now, I've been kind of promising Diana I would figure out some way to relieve the aggravation of her watering the geranium tree. And the answer is very simply, is a drip waterer. So I went on good old Amazon and I bought a drip waterer, and it arrived the other day, and I've been working on it for a couple hours this morning. This one is from Herali. I don't know how that's pronounced, but there's a dozen different models available on Amazon and other places, of course. And I paid $31 for this. $31. What do you get for $31? Well, you get about 100 yards of tubing, 1/4 inch plastic tubing, no problem. Pardon me. And you get a hose connector, you get a couple of hose connectors, you get 2 or 3 on-off valves, you get a whole bunch, probably about 30 or more tees, plastic tees, and then you get these little drip waterers. Little drip waterers. So the plastic hose connects into here, and this sticks into the ground. And they say you can use these for vegetable gardens too. So you can put this in your vegetables. They say on the lawn, I don't know, it'd be good for a lawn, but certainly a flower garden or a vegetable garden or potted plants even. Maybe might even use it work indoors. But anyway, and then the top of this is pretty neat because you see it turns. It's adjustable. So you can have a fine spray, or you can turn it right down and just have a drip, 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 or you can open it wide open and have a squirt. I haven't actually used this yet. I'm going to be interested in playing with it. So you got a whole bunch of these as well. And then all you need to do is figure out where you want them to go. The instructions are pretty explicit. Pretty simple. Cut the tubing, figure out where you want it to go, lawn, garden, or whatever, and lay it out, hook it up. They even have some plans here how you would hook it up, and it's pretty straightforward. There's a couple of important things. They say that you need to heat up the end of this tubing. So you folks that have tried, I looked at some of the reviews, and some people complain they don't go together very easily. Well, you didn't read the instructions. If you take the ends of these plastic tubes and put them into boiling water, so you need to have a tea kettle, and it slips right on. And as soon as it cools, it's on there permanently. So I guess people who have complaints about them, I would suggest the first thing that you would do is to read the instructions. But anyway, and that's what you get. And here's what you end up with. This mess. It looks like a mess. Now, it really isn't a mess. I took a lot of time. The geranium tree, of course, is not a lawn or a garden or anything. It's a little bit more complicated than that. So for my dad's geranium tree, what I had to do was put one of these sprinklers or drippers in each of the 19 pots on the geranium tree. So this is for the top one. This is for a couple more, I don't know. And then there's going to be 2 sets of these, one each side. So there's 3 rows of 6. So there's going to be 3 for this side and another 2 right here beside it for that side. And down it goes, and finally it ends up in a long hose at the very bottom, to which you connect your waterer and a snap connector for the garden hose, and the problem is solved. So now my wife Diana can come out and just snap the hose on, turn the water on, and go back inside and relax for a little while. And 15, 20 minutes later, the geraniums will all be watered with no aggravation. I'm hoping that's the way it works anyway. As I say, I've got it all measured, got all the fittings together. I think it's going to work perfectly. I haven't put it on and I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to do that shortly, and I'll come back to you and show you how it works. Here we are, guys, at my father's famous geranium tree. We got all the hoses hooked up. Each one of these pots now has one of those little blue-headed sprinklers or drippers in it, and the lines run into the middle and then down. They all join together in various tees, and I got them fastened on. I even sprayed them with a bit of green paint so it won't destroy the look of the sprinkler. Okay, we're going to give it a try. So down the bottom, I've got there's a hose connector. I'll see if I can get a picture of it here. A hose connector, you can see it there. And all my dear wife has to do is snap on the garden hose as she's going by with the garden hose, which she does, and then turn it on. Let's give it a try, sweetheart. Let's see what happens. Wow. Some are just dripping. Some are spraying. I guess you can adjust them, huh?
Yeah.
Give it a bit more pressure there and see what happens. We don't need it, but whoa. Yes. So you can adjust these, right?
Yeah.
You can turn this down?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it just sprinkles. Oh, look, they're all water already. Just like that. Takes minutes. Of course, they're only 4-inch pots. Anyway, there it is, guys. Automatic garden plant geranium tree sprinkler. System works really well. Okay, thanks for your help there. Okay, guys, Alec Peirce at the ranch, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.